The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Housing, healthcare, and the theater on Triad Today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the Cedar Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about them later on, and later on is when the roundtable shows up. We'll get into all sorts of controversial topics with them, so you don't want to miss that. Hope you'll stay tuned for the entire half hour. Lots in store for you. Where we want to start, though, is talking about an innovative program, really innovative and unique, in the city of Greensboro to help a lot of folks. We have a first-time visitor to the show who's going to tell us all about that. Next to me is Michelle Kennedy. She's Director of Housing and Neighborhood Development for the City of Greensboro. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for all you're doing, and let's talk about what you're doing. Now, I've been hearing about something that I think you and Carla emailed me one day, and it was called the Doorway Project. And I want you to tell me about that and why it was needed.
You know, one of the things that we know currently, when you look at the housing market that we're currently in, is there's a need for interim housing. As we're trying to build more permanent, affordable housing, there has to be something in the meantime. And so we were really looking at interim housing options, and Doorway was the one we landed on.
That's great. Now, how are people selected to be able to use these facilities and to use the temporary housing? How are they selected?
It's for people who are literally street homeless, so people who are sleeping outdoors, and it's a referral process that operates through the Guilford County Continuum of Care and through the partners that do street outreach and are doing the programs already involved with those folks. So they make referrals, and then based on highest needs first, folks are placed.
All right, so how long can a homeless person stay in one of the interim facilities?
So for our purposes, we're really using them as a part of our White Flag winter emergency system. They will come down at the end of March, and they'll be available to us for every winter moving forward. So for our purposes, about 120 days.
Okay. Now, there are certain guidelines that you have to follow, the structural guidelines and things. I'm assuming that you've checked all the boxes on that and it's all compliant?
We did. We spent a lot of time with the North Carolina Department of Insurance, making sure that we met all the safety and building and fire requirements to keep folks as safe as we possibly could.
Well, speaking of safety, what about security measures? What are you doing with that?
Well, a couple things. One is we have security on site 24 hours a day, but the most important thing, I think, is the fact that these folks have a key to their own unit, some of them for the first time in decades. So being able to lock the door when they leave is a really important step and something that a lot of us take for granted.
Now, is this something that you've initiated through your department only, or were there other departments in the city or departments in the county that you teamed up with to develop Doorway Project and sustain it? Bring me up to speed on that.
So it was born in combination with the City Manager's Office and Housing and Neighborhood Development. But in order to create this project, it was a multi-departmental effort. So you had more than 40 members of staff of the City of Greensboro working together to make sure that we looked at all components of this.
Now, I think you told me off camera that this is the only project of its kind to help homeless folks in the state. And anybody else looking at using you as a model, or what's going on with that?
We are happy to be the first project of its kind in North Carolina. We've got 7 other cities that are looking towards us now to help them develop it. The most significant one is Raleigh, who's really looking to replicate what we're doing here in Greensboro.
So they don't have to reinvent the wheel. They can do what you're doing that's working so well. You know, we didn't rehearse this or anything. I'm just curious, what kind of gratification do you get? I know that you help so many people day in and day out in your job anyway, but in this particular project, what is gratifying to you about getting it up to speed and sustaining it?
You know, the week before Christmas, when it was so cold, I mean, unbelievably cold, the coldest it had been in decades. I was out there pretty much every night, and watching people walk into their units and close their doors is a pretty powerful feeling. Listening to people talk about the importance of having a place to lie down and not have to worry about that for the first time. You can't put a price tag on that, and you can't put a value on that.
I just admire what you're doing and what the city's doing, and you should be a model for everybody else. And I hope other cities will come along on that. One thing I want to do is put something up on screen, because I think you also said in an email that folks can learn more about this through an interactive resource center. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the number is 332-0824, or you can visit the general website, greensboro-nc.gov. Did I get all that right?
Or close enough, yeah.
All right. Close enough. You're being polite to me. I get everything close enough. I just don't get it accurate. No, seriously, thanks for everything you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Come back and update us, will you?
We'll do it.
All right. Michelle Kennedy. We'll be right back after this.
No matter the challenges, we were there.
Whatever the struggles, we were there.
And as the sun comes out, bringing the promise of a brighter tomorrow, we will still be here.
We're Duke Energy, and we're building a smarter energy future for you.
Back now on Triad Today, and so glad we could steal this gentleman away for a few minutes. He's always very busy. We're always glad to have him back on the program. Albert Laster is interim president of Randolph Community College. Welcome back, sir.
Good to see you, Jim. Always good to be here.
All of us, and I include in all, educational institutions, individuals, we're trying to make our way out of the pandemic. We're trying to figure out this thing because it's not completely gone. Where does Randolph Community College find itself right now?
Well, fortunately, there's some exciting things that have happened to us, particularly in the last fall of 22. RegisteredNursing.com ranked our nursing program the third best nursing program in the state. And based on our ratio, faculty to student ratio, our pass rate, et cetera. So that's an exciting thing for us as a college. Also, Intellect.com ranked us the sixth best community college in the state. So there's some really cool things happening to us as a college.
Now, there have been a lot of accolades, and you guys deserve them. But I guess my question is, as impressive as the accolades are, how do they relate to the student experience?
I think the accolade speaks to the work that we're doing, our faculty and staff, and our focus is always on the students. Are we creating opportunity and changing lives, as our mission statement says? And recently there was a student I was reading a newspaper article, and she was interviewed about her experience at Randolph Community College. She registered for the first time, and she made the comment of how nice and kind the faculty and staff that treated her and answered all of her questions. So I think those accolades speaks to we're doing the right thing for our students and the citizens of Randolph County.
Yeah, if you weren't looking after the students, how in the world would you be looking after the whole curriculum and everything? So it goes hand in hand. Hey, let's go back. Let me circle back a little bit to the pandemic, because the economy has been kind of screwy since 2020, and there's some strong points about it and some weak points about it. Now, one of the problems we're all having is hiring and retaining employees. You talk to any industry leader, you know this from being an expert in workforce development. But has the hiring and retention problem been a problem for Randolph Community College in terms of you getting quality employees?
Yeah, we're not exempt to that either. As you mentioned, all organizations are having trouble finding qualified people. And for us, competing against the salaries of business and industry as a college system, it can be challenging. But hey, we're expanding our searches. We're beyond the state now. It's a nationwide search. And recently we hired a photography instructor, and she comes to us from Florida, and she's been a part of a team that's been awarded a Pulitzer Prize on 2 different occasions. So we're doing extra things to find those qualified people. And again, it brings the experience for our students to, they're exposed to the best in the business.
Talk about feedback from students. What about feedback from employers who hire the people that you send them? You've had so much experience with workforce development, with interacting with companies and industries. What kind of feedback have you received over the years of how Randolph Community College students are received by the area employers?
Yeah, sometimes view our students as that's our product that we're providing to industry. But hey, one of I think the unique things, maybe not unique, but the cool things that we've done at Randolph Community College is our advisory boards are now made up of those business and industries, and they give us direct feedback of these are the students, this is a skill set he or she came in with, how do we enhance what we need to enhance, but we get positive feedback from their they appreciate that we're listening,
Yeah.
and two, they have the skill sets our students do when they reach industry.
Makes it a lot easier for the companies that you're interfacing with to know that they're getting somebody that can hit the ground running.
Yes.
And maybe with a little orientation, they're ready to go.
Yeah, speaks right to our internships. You've got on real job, real career experience when you leave RCC.
That's just great. So much stuff going on there, and I'm so proud of you and what you're doing. Hey, up on screen, just for general information, I hope folks will check out the website, randolph.edu. That is randolph.edu, and do that. And Mr. President, will you come back sometime?
Be glad to.
All
Always
right.
good to see you, Jim.
Good to see you, too.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
You know, it's hard to believe the Safe Sober program has been going strong for over 30 years.
And over 600,000 students have made the pledge to stay safe and sober on prom night. You know, Griff, it's had a huge impact on our community.
Yeah, you're right, David. And now we're making sure the message continues year-round.
So everyone can join us in supporting our students.
Learn more and take the pledge at safesober.com, sponsored by Daggett Schuler.
Back now on Triad Today, and we have a first-time visitor to the program, and we're going to talk about occupational health, and I'm so glad she's with us. Lauren Dry is a nurse practitioner for Northern Occupational Health, part of the Northern Regional Hospital family, and it's so good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
By way of East Tennessee State and UNC Charlotte, and you've been all over the place.
Yes, sir.
But we're glad you're here now.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, you know, I've mentioned before to people, I said, well, I'm going to talk to somebody about occupational health, and I said, well, what is occupational health? So just give us a little sketch of what that is.
Okay, so occupational health is just like what it sounds. It's your occupation or your job and health, or staying healthy and safe while on the job.
Everybody does something different. So if I work in a factory, if I do a talk show, if I'm a bricklayer, I've got certain things that I need to do in my profession.
Right.
If I've been injured or have an illness or from surgery or whatever,
Right.
You guys are going to try to help in context of what they do for a living.
Right, exactly. So that could mean a lot of different things. Let's say you were injured on the job. You could come see us. That would be what we call like a workers' compensation visit.
Right, right.
And we may do x-rays, get you back to work if you're able as soon as possible. And if not, we would refer you to a higher level of care to get evaluation.
I think you and Christy sent me an email one day, and it said something about staying safe on the job. Now, what does that entail?
So that could mean a lot of different things, and it kind of depends on where you work. Let's say, for instance, you worked at a factory maybe where there was a lot of loud machinery. You had a lot of exposure to like repetitive loud noises.
Right, right.
We offer audiometric testing or hearing tests. So we do annual hearing tests on a lot of those employees. That way we can make sure that their hearing stays stable. Another example could be maybe if you worked in a factory or an environment that had exposure to chemicals or maybe a dusty environment. We have trained staff that can do pulmonary function tests.
That's great.
And that measures your lung function. And they can also fit you for a respirator to make sure you have the right fitting mask to protect you from those hazards.
We've talked about work-related things. I mean, what other kinds of services do you offer through your office?
So we do a lot of physicals. We do DOT physicals, pre-employment physicals.
All right, now back up for a second because I'm ignorant about some of these things.
Okay.
You said a DOT physical. What does that mean?
Okay, so a DOT physical stands for Department of Transportation Physical, and that could mean anything from somebody that drives a tractor trailer to a school bus to even just a big truck, maybe with a trailer that's got heavy equipment on it.
Gotcha.
And those are done by a medical examiner, and a medical examiner would be a provider that has got additional training and certification on the rules and regulations for DOT drivers.
Okay.
And we do a lot of DOT physicals. That's one of the main things that we do. And we have got some contracts with some big companies, local companies in our area like Southland Transportation, Mountain River Trucking, Surrey County Schools is a big one, Lucas
now,
Tree.
speaking of companies and organizations, you go out and do what, health fairs or work fairs, what?
We do, yeah. So we can come to your company, large or small, and we bring trained staff out with us, and we can check your blood work to maybe check for things like high cholesterol, diabetes. We can check blood pressures while we're there.
So now you're not only treating people and helping them with their occupational problems and occupational health, but you're helping to prevent things too.
Right, right. And another thing we do at those health fairs often is flu vaccines. We can bring flu shots. We can even do on-site drug testing.
How about that? I want to put some information up on screen. Northern Occupational Health, you can call 719-7138. And the general website for Northern Regional Hospital is choosenorthern.org, which I hope you will check that out as well. And I want to get you back sometime and talk about your background and how you came to work in the healthcare field. And so let's do that sometime.
Okay, sounds
All
good.
right, thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Are you looking to jumpstart your future in the fast-paced, rapidly growing food industry? In Second Harvest Food Bank's Providence Culinary Training Program, you'll learn the craft and art of cooking, plus business and management skills, science and nutrition, and essential life skills. Providence Culinary Training has helped hundreds of individuals just like you launch successful culinary careers. There's no reason to wait to turn your passion for food into an exciting career. Check out the upcoming class schedule on our website at providencews.org.
Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you to catch my column Longworth at Large and Yes Weekly every week. It's available throughout the Triad, or you can go online, yesweekly.com. Back now on Triad Today, and we are still in sort of our Happy New Year show because it's still sort of the start of the new year, and it's the first time we've been able to spend some time with Mr. Theater, as we try to do once a month, and he's with us again. Dave Briggs is director of High Point Theater. Welcome back and Happy New Year.
Thanks, Jim. Back at you. Happy New Year.
Yeah, this is, as I said, it's our first time getting together in this calendar year, and so let me just ask you to do a quick recap on the last season, 2022, 2021, 22, because I know you sort of cross over years. How did the last season go?
Well, I've got some great news. So our fiscal year, which started July 1, 2021 and finished up on June 30, 2022, our economic impact for the High Point Theater was about $7.75 million.
Wow.
That's coming out of COVID. So that's really strong. I was really happy about that.
Where you would expect that things would be?
I thought it was going to be around 5.5, maybe, if we were lucky. But from July 1 through December 31st, we had very strong box office numbers. Our rental numbers have increased amazingly, and our concession numbers are really good. People are coming out. People want to see live entertainment. We're getting a lot of calls for meetings. And of course, during COVID, there were no calls for meetings. Everything was virtual. So it's really exciting for us to be able to offer those again and have folks do it.
That's right. Now let's talk about the upcoming season. There's a couple of things coming up that I want to plug, and one is the Triad Has Talent, Saturday, February 18th. Now tell me about that.
So Triad Has Talent in past years had been really more of a competition where we would have up to 30 performers do, about a 2.5 minute to 3 minute bit. This year, with Triad Has Talent, we have 5 performers. They'll each get between 20 and 25 minutes to do a performance, which is truly a showcase.
Oh, okay.
So it features folks like Jack Gorham and the Polk Duo, and the duo called Guilford, and Travis Wilson. And
so I can really be entertained
you
by
can
these
really
folks.
be entertained. And they're going to be, you're going to actually see what they can do. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And the audience will then, at intermission and at the end of the show, will get to vote with their dollars who they thought was the best entertainer. Now, this is a fundraiser for the Friends of the High Point Theater, which is our fundraising arm, our nonprofit arm. They provide us with our ushers, our concessionaires, and help us with things that the city budget doesn't allow us to buy.
So this is a win-win for everybody. You get to see some great talent.
Great fun.
And then for a good cause, because it helps the theater. Now, on Saturday, March 25th, looking ahead, just for folks to plan on their calendar, Funny Godmothers. Now, that sounds like what I think it is, but what is it?
These are 2 amazing comedians, Tara Brown, who is originally from New York, now living in Charlotte, and Karen Morgan, are both amazing comedians, and so it's clean comedy. I mean, there might be a little innuendo, of course,
right.
But it's going to be great fun, and I guarantee you're going to laugh. If you don't laugh, I'm not giving you your money back.
That's right. Enjoy yourself. Hey, speaking of enjoying yourself, Valentine's Day is coming up, and I'm just thinking that's a nice little gift to give your sweetheart or your loved one to get some season tickets.
Absolutely, or just get individual tickets. So we have Ben Vereen on April 1st. We have Barbara Lika, who is an amazing vocalist, on the 14th, and we have Stunt Dogs, which is family friendly, on the 15th of April. You have
what?
Stunt Dogs.
Stunt Dogs.
Stunt Dogs. Yeah, it's a bunch of
dogs that do
rescue
tricks.
dogs that do tricks. It's going to be great fun.
Golly, all right. Well, anyway, so there's tickets still available, and season tickets is a good thing. Now, speaking of tickets, as we talked about before, there are lots of ways you can get tickets, but the best, safest, and most inexpensive way to get tickets is to call the box office, which Dave preaches all the time, 887-3001. If you want more information, though, in general about all the things coming up, go to that great creative website that Dave has, highpointtheater.com. Remember, there's 2 T's there, highpointtheater.com, and check that out. Will you do us the honor of sticking around for the roundtable?
If I must.
All right, if you must.
I'd be happy to.
Golly. All right, we'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today is now streaming on WFMY Plus, available free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV.
Every cookie sold in the Girl Scout Cookie Program helps girls learn lifelong lessons in people skills, decision making, money management, goal setting, and business ethics. It's amazing how much you can learn from a cookie. The Girl Scout Cookie Program. Think outside the box.
Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable, but a quick shout out to our good friends here at the Senior Botanical Garden. You can come here and you can rent the facility, you can walk around the garden, you can do all sorts of things here. And what you can do if you were standing right here right now is watch the roundtable, and these guys are here for it. On my right, but always on the political left, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster and journalist. Dave Briggs, who we held over from the previous segment about the High Point Theater. Keith Cranberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. Guys, let's get to it. Last week, the U.S. Department of the Interior began renaming places and things that have quote-unquote squaw in the title because they say that's a racist term. Are you okay with the federal government changing the names of small communities? Ogie Overman.
I hate to say it, but I'm not really. I mean, Squawville or I just have a little bit of a problem with it. Yeah.
They've already done this in 4 states. What do you think, Dave?
I think it's absurd. And Squaw Valley was the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
I mean, we had an Olympics there.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You want the federal government changing names of communities?
Yes, if it's offensive to a race, absolutely.
But shouldn't that be done on the state level or local level?
Well, sometimes on the local levels, they're not going to do that because many times the issues that they have or the racism that they have in those communities are so intense that they're not going to change it themselves.
Perpetrated by the people that would make the decision. Okay. Last week, Illinois became the 9th state to ban assault weapons, but 74 sheriffs in that state said we're not going to enforce it. We're not going to go around and enforce the ban because it would violate Second Amendment rights. Guys, a governor cannot legally remove an elected sheriff. So what does the governor do? Does he sue the sheriff? Does he arrest the sheriffs? Do they just wait for the voters to decide? What do you think, Ogie?
I think you ought to sue them. I want to see this in court. I really do. The limits of the Second Amendment, does that include military assault weapons? Is that in the Constitution?
I don't think so. Dave, what do you think is the solution here?
Congratulations to those sheriffs. There are about 2.5 million legal gun owners in Illinois. That particular law, it violates the Second Amendment. It also turns all those legal gun owners into criminals.
All right, Keith.
So are we going to just bypass laws just because we don't like the law? So if there's a law, are we just going to say, you know what, just because we don't like it, the sheriffs are not going to enforce it? What would our communities be if that went along in every community? How would that look?
Yeah, it's we went through the same thing with gay marriage, and when McCrory, by the way, was governor, and some of the magistrates said, we're not going to marry gay couples, and McCrory said, look, I don't care how you believe, you've got to You got to do it or you'll get fired.
It's a law.
But you can't.
We can talk all we want, but there's laws. There are laws for a reason.
But you can't
Good
fire.
laws
You
and
can't
bad
fire a
laws.
sheriff though. That's
They need to vote them out.
Georgia school district is being sued by students who say they were barred from wearing Black Lives Matters T-shirts. The school says we have a dress code that bans any clothing that causes, quote, a disruption. And yet white students are wearing Confederate flags with emblems on them all the time. Who wins this lawsuit? And wouldn't schools be better off if we just had uniform clothing? Ogie, what do you think?
You know, it's funny. I covered this issue with SMOD, the standard mode of dress, at Ragsdale when they were going through, and some other schools were doing it. And I looked into it pretty deep, and it turns out it's okay. It works, actually. It eliminates the classism. Blacks and whites are the same, rich and poor. Everybody's dressed the same.
Yeah.
It eliminates peer pressure. I think it's a good idea.
It really disturbs me that one group can and one group can't wear the clothing of that type. When I lived in Louisiana, you had to wear a uniform up until 8th grade, and then after that, the high school said you could dress however you want, but no language on anything.
Right, Keith.
I mean, Black lives do matter, but if in reality we need a dress code for just a uniform dress code that will eliminate all of this. But if you don't have that, you can't let one group not wear something and another group wear something.
Absolutely. Due to the rising cost of food, the governor of South Dakota is proposing to eliminate sales tax on groceries. Now here in North Carolina, of course, there's no state sales tax on groceries, but there are local taxes. I think it's 2-point-something% on that. Is eliminating grocery tax a good idea or bad idea? Because taxes, after all, support social services. Oh, yeah.
I don't think it would do much good, Jim. It wouldn't amount to much at all.
Dave.
I'd like to see them go ahead and do that. We had no sales tax at all on groceries in Ohio. The problem is with eggs going from 89 cents to $3.99, that 2% is nominal.
Yeah, Keith.
I think if this is going to help those who are less fortunate, we need to keep it. I mean, there are a lot of people out here who don't have, and if there's a couple percentage points to go to them, I think we should keep it.
Could help a lot of people.
Absolutely.
All right, very quickly, speaking of taxes, Forsyth County does not want to allocate the money to complete the stadium at Reynolds High School, whereas Guilford County just gave $2.2 million for Grimsley to build some ball fields and update them. Guys, in general, should athletic fields and stadiums be supported by taxpayers or raise money privately? Quickly, Ogie.
No, it's private, but Grimsley's a different situation because they tore down Kaiser. They had to take Grimsley's ball field to accommodate the new Kaiser.
Dave, quickly.
Ogie said exactly what I was going to say.
Keith, what do you think?
Agree with all of them.
All right. Finally, a recent study in London, London University says that men who are lacking in, how do I want to say this, the romance department, tend to buy sports cars to compensate for their shortcomings. Guys, have you bought any sports cars lately? Ogie.
Well, this doesn't look good. If you look out the door, I drive a little red sports car convertible.
Convertible. All right. You didn't buy it recently, though, did you? All right.
Yeah,
Dave,
I haven't bought one recently.
You haven't bought one. Keith, you bought any sports cars?
I would never own a sports car. It's against my religion.
Keith was going to buy one, and now he's decided not to.
Yeah, no, I'm not buying one of those.
That's all the time we have, except for this. Speaking of cars, there was a woman in Wales who took her dog for a drive. She was going to the grocery store. She got out, went in the store. The dog, this is a true story, the dog engaged the gear. The car started rolling, crashed into another car. Now, fortunately, nobody was hurt, but the dog's license was suspended. See, dogs have a dog license. For all of us
that
here,
was a good one.
we're going to get in Keith's sports car.
No, I don't have a sports car. I don't have one of those.